Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
Okay, today is Friday, March 25th. I am Robert Press, your host. As you will see, I am an official media person. You may remember me from the 2018 Alessandra Ocasio-Cortez and Congressman Joe Crowley stand-in debate, which probably started a turning point, which created the new Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. And you can see me in her film, the film on Netflix, Bring Down the House. So now let me have my co-host introduce himself, Anthony RIVIECCIO. Anthony?
Yes, sir. Hi, everybody. Happy Friday. My name is Anthony RIVIECCIO. As our audience knows, I have 3 lives. I'm pulling my hair out in one of them now. I am a certified income tax and financial advisor, celebrating our 25th year with the Financial Advisors Group, thus more gray hair by the moment. My second life, I am a teacher at both Herbert H. Lehman College and Monroe College, both here in the Bronx, both the public and private university. And my third life, which brings me here, which is why I always wear this hat, is that I am a wonderful founder of a local West Side group here in the Bronx called Northwest Bronx Democrat.
Aren't you also now associated with another group, Northwest? What is that?
There's another group that's being formed, of which I've been asked to participate in formulating in, called Northwest Bronx Republican.
And I believe you're going to be endorsing somebody in the 80th Assembly District?
Well, that's way too much of a further.
Okay, well, yeah, you have to interview the candidates, correct. We also have, in the second half, Miss Lisa Hofflick, and I hope I said it right, who is a candidate in the 36th State Senate District, which is a district that used to be the 34th, but it's now going to be an open seat because current State Senator Alessandra Biaggi has decided she's running for Congress. So it's an open seat, and we will have candidate Hofflick later in the show, our second half, and we can discuss a little more about the State Senate District. Right now, we go into the Ukraine war, Anthony. What's it been, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month already?
A month.
Okay, and we see by the newscast that the Russians seem to be retreating a little. However, Joe Biden went to Europe yesterday, and still, we're not giving really that much aid. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. So what's your take on this, Anthony?
Actually, the last couple of days, I gotta give it to Joe Biden in the sense of portraying that outside of us going in there militarily ourselves, we're trying every avenue to disrupt what was 30 years of gain within their own Russian economy. So, you know, I always look at it being an economist first as to, you know, this is the side effect of Putin's original decision of, you know, doing what he wants to do. That, you know, if you consider what has happened in Russia for the last 30 years, how they've, let me use the word modernized, you know, many elements of their economy and you know, political society. I don't know if that's in their best interest. And I think the UN, his recent trip, and everything encompassed of that is really putting Putin in a very dangerous situation. If you haven't heard his recent remarks, he's actually now been backtracking. He's been saying in negotiations, well, maybe I don't want all of Ukraine. Let me get, maybe if you give me this, this piece.
Right. Just give me a little now and I'll take the rest later. But
well, yeah, I guess you could say that.
We've also heard that the nuclear plant at Chernobyl has been turned on, and also the threat of nuclear weapons, because we see that the South Korean president, I'm not going to say his name because I'll get it wrong. I think it's Kim Jong-un, is it?
All right.
Has sent up a nuclear missile, and people are saying that it could reach the east coast of the United States. Which would be,
I said this on the show before, and I might be in the minority when I say this, but again, you're talking also to a former U.S. serviceman. So I look at foreign policy probably a lot different than a lot of other people. If I was the president of South Korea, I will let North Korea know exactly the military might that I have. And again, I don't expect that to be the majority opinion. But if you're trying to scare me as a neighboring country, and I've tried every avenue, and my presidents prior to me have tried every avenue to get peace. We've even had the U.S. president, for whatever it was worth, right, come down over there and try to do something. Well, you know what? At this point in the mix, it's about time to start showing you some military might. But again, that's just my own personal opinion.
The problem with that is the U.S. was there in the 50s. So that military might be what's left over from the 50s. So that could be the problem with South Korea. There is no modern equipment. All right. Once there was peace, the United States didn't go back in there. But
I would beg to differ with some of that statement. We're finding out, for example, with cybercrime. Right, we're hearing new things every day that are now public. So as I always say, well, if it's public now, then that means they really have the arsenal of 20 years later.
Right.
But we don't know what they have, and I'm including us.
Right.
So that's where this really becomes a dangerous situation. Putin has now said, "Hey guys, I'm going to put this on standby." And, for whatever it's worth, I think we have to take that very seriously. And I think Joe Biden has, in the last couple of days, really woken up. I don't know the medical terminology for that, but I'm glad it's happening.
Well, speaking of Joe Biden, let's move to our Bidenomics segment.
Okay.
We see that interest rates are itching up a little. Will they go much further?
A little.
Go ahead, Anthony. Take it away about interest rates.
All right. Well, I will go into the in-depth economic weekly report on our show, Financial Focus University, this afternoon at 5. But to give you, and I'm going to stick with what you mentioned in regards to interest rates. Now, again, interest rates for the last 30 years have been very low, right? But over the course of the last month, right, in percentage terms, they've gone up 60%. So, that would be equivalent, and I'm just keeping the number simple. So that would be equivalent to if you were getting a 1% checking account, savings account. Mm-hmm. Well, now that's going to pretty soon translate to 1.6. And according to our Federal Reserve Board, expect rates to go higher. All of this is predicated on inflation, which we'll be talking more on our show. I have a special inflation chart to show our audience, which again is very scary. In most parts of the United States, we are looking on average, to about a local 22% increase. I was talking to a client this morning about how 15 years ago, I'm a single bachelor. So, of course, as with most single bachelors, our shopping is just, it's very simple. We know what we want. We don't really variate.
You don't have to buy diapers.
So I always joke around and say, well, normally 15 years ago when I walked out of the supermarket, that bag was about $25, $30, give or take $1 or $2. Well, I was shopping the other day, and that bag is now $45. That's almost a 50% increase from 15 years ago. So it's getting rough out there. Is there any justification for the inflation? As Joe Biden said himself, he believes his policies are hurting both Russia and having an indirect effect on us. I look at it as inflation as an economist. When you look at it as an economist, there are two simple ways to look at it: demand, supply. And yes, we are having supply chain issues. I don't believe that is personally the other reason. I believe there are several reasons why inflation is starting to pop up. But of course, it's now a 40-year issue, because prior to anyone that was younger than 50 years old, they may not even know the word inflation, because our inflation rate for 40 years prior were about 2 to 3%.
Anthony, let me stop you here, because you were mentioning that you're now going to get 1.60 on your savings accounts. But people nowadays don't have any savings. They're working paycheck to paycheck, and even below paycheck to paycheck. They're just making the rent. They're having to make sacrifices. Like you said, your bag of groceries went up from $25 to $45, was it? All right. What that means then is that instead of eating that steak, you're going to have to eat chicken. And it's, instead of Coca-Cola, you're going to have to buy the store brand soda. You're going to have to cut back. Am I right?
The only reason why I'm laughing, Robert, is because, again, you're talking to a single bachelor, right? So if you were coming over, if a young lady was coming over, I might make steak. If it's just me, I'm grabbing the Pop-Tarts. Okay, so notwithstanding that, yes, we are having a big national inflation problem. What you mentioned is a very good point. We're talking about micromanaging your money again. In the last 20 years, we had space. We had money space to be able to enjoy ourselves, partially because inflation was so low. And now with inflation pooping up, and many people believe it will poop up some more. Now, and again, I say this for people that are under 40 years old. Under 40 years old, they didn't know about inflation. Who had a budget? Nobody had a budget 40 years ago, because, again, our economy was, from a real interest rate point of view, was doing so well. All you got to do is look at the principal balance of people's 401k plans in the last 20 years. That will tell you that some of that money, thank God, went to their savings. Of course, others spent it. And, that's another story. But now it comes down, like you say, to micromanaging. Now I have to decide what type of smoke bag, for example, that I want to get, right? Do I go to this bodega that has it here, or this bodega that has it here? And it's not just the price, by the way. It's also the quality, right? It's also the quality. I have some stuff that I use in my personal life that, regardless of the price, I still want it. So, it's price, quality, all comes down to micromanagement now of people's personal finance.
Of course, Anthony. I love a lobster dinner, but I haven't had one in 10 years. Okay, so.
Then you need budgeting.
What?
Then you need budgeting.
No, I don't. I buy a lobster tail if I want. Okay. I don't buy the whole lobster. But besides that, let's move into a little, state politics.
Bob, let me share one last thing with you on the Bidenomics segment. As I hope our political audience knows, they may not know, on the Financial Focus University show, we have what we call a Bob Press Index. So, it's a weekly index. It tracks the market because, as Bob indicated with this index, quote, I'm all in. So he's all in, and his index represents the month. And I won't give him his number now because the market's not close to the week. But I will share with him now and the audience that, barring any last couple of hours, and though sadly the way the markets have been going these days, it can go high or lower at any time.
Yeah. How's it
So
doing
far, Robert, your index is looking good.
Good.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, and how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.
Okay, we want to get into local politics, really state and local politics. And our congratulations go to Brian Kavanaugh, who won the special election in Brooklyn. Yes, we're Bronx-based, but we want to congratulate the new Brooklyn Assemblyman, Brian Kavanaugh. And I also want to mention that earlier in this week that Brian Benjamin was running away, that's the lieutenant governor, was running away from reporters when they were asking him about the flip-flop of Governor, I almost said Cuomo, Hochul, it's Governor Hochul, that she has changed her position on bail reform. And he wouldn't answer reporters' questions. He ran into the elevator and closed the door and said no comment, basically. Then later in the week, both he and the governor had said that, well, we have to adjust the bail reform slightly, all right, because crime is getting out of control. But any comments on that one, Anthony? Okay.
I'm really not sure how to comment. I'll share this with the audience. More so, I'm sharing it for our future guests coming up. You're looking at a 40-year Bronxite. So, I'm probably one of the few that truly remember the 1970s. And it's not just the Bronx, all areas of New York City got hit in many different ways, all of them bad in the 1970s. And as I try to tell people of a younger generation, there's no movie, there's no book that can truly recognize the destruction of what happened during the 70s and 80s in the Bronx and in the city. So, to sit back and just even recognize that, yes, we want to be very aware about human rights and civil rights and whether existing policies are hurting one group of people over another. And if so, those things should be looked at and tweaked. But at the same token, not to recognize the crime wave that we're now in. And it took a crime wave for now, for it to be finally recognized.
Right. Well, let's hold on.
Like I said,
Anthony,
on our show,
Anthony, let's hold up on that.
The only reason I knew Eric Adams was going to win is because he is from the 1970s.
Let's hold up on that.
And a former cop, of course.
Anthony, let's hold up on that.
Had that in mind.
Let's hold up on that because we could ask our candidate for state senate, since it's a state senate and the assembly that makes the laws. Okay, we can ask her opinion of what's going on.
Well, it's not just the laws, Bob. It's not just the laws. Lisa will not be in charge of New York City police officers.
No,
so
she won't.
It's not just the state. When you say the state, you're talking about policy and funding. Of course, we'll ask her those questions. But some of us would still like a cop on the beat, and none of the candidates can do anything about that.
Right, but what happens is Mayor Adams has said that he's stepping up his patrols. He has brought anti-crime units into almost every precinct, everyone in the Bronx at least. And they are making arrests, although crime is, like you say, still going up. All right, so there has to be a
tidal wave. That's the sad part. His early stats, based on his new policies, in my opinion, are good. But they look terrible because now we're in a crime wave.
Right. And Mr. Producer, do we have the photo or not of Mayor Adams? Because it's a little bit about that. By the way, Anthony, Mayor Adams has ended the mask mandate for almost everything. If you're a New York Nets basketball player like Kyrie Irving, you don't have to wear your mask. And you can go play basketball now if you're unvaccinated.
Bob, question for you.
Yes.
With our current infection rate,
Yes.
right? Which variant is the most predominant?
Which variant?
Yeah.
Right now, they're talking about the new B2 Omicron variant.
You're right. And you said it absolutely correct. Not the name of it, but the fact that it's new. So because it's new, just like with the other new ones, we knew nothing about it. So we could have a wonderful mayor that believes we're in the safe zone. Sounds like Joe Biden on July 4th. Hey guys, everything is
Anthony,
wonderful.
and on my blog,
you know what? Smart people like me that want to live to be another 60 years are gonna use preventive situations, just like we do in finance.
Anthony, Dr. Chachi, before leaving, admitted that people who had COVID were immune to it. Like myself.
Yeah. Tell all the people that died that they were immune.
All right. But I keep track of the daily rates of infection on my blog at 100% Bronx.blog, 100% Bronx.blogspot.com. Sorry about that. I put up the daily rates from the governor, and the Bronx is the lowest infection rate of the 5 boroughs. We're still under 1%. Manhattan and the other 4 boroughs are over 1%, but we are.
I'll ask you again. What is the predominant variant in the numbers that you just looked at?
It is the Omicron. Basically, the regular COVID is gone.
No, it's not, sir. No, it's not. It is the new variant that you just mentioned. As a matter of fact, and I'm sure our guest can verify this, or at least I hope she can, that the new variant has taken over New York State.
That's not what the figures say.
Well, I'll tell you what, that might be a question for our guests. I could be wrong, but I like to keep.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to bring up the New York City Commissioner of Health to talk about that, not a candidate for state.
I should be asking one of the people that are telling people like you that you're immune. I should be asking one of them. Is that what you're saying?
Anthony, I have been out. I have not caught it. I've been among crowds. I've been masked. I've been unmasked. I had that cheap.
And you know what they call that, Bob? They call that preventive medicine.
No.
Just like I have not been sick for 2 years, which is why I'm wearing a mask now. And some of the things that I do that some people might think is the new normal. Some people may not think it's the new normal.
You're wearing the wrong mask,
Anthony. It's called preventive medicine.
You don't have the K95 mask that they say. First, they said that the Blasio thin piece of crap cloth was good enough. Then they said, no, you need the state heavier cloth. And now they say you need the K95 mask. So you're not even wearing the right mask.
No, okay? What makes you say, Bob, what makes you think you have the right information? This mask has been working for 2 years. You think I'm not going to go with that piece of evidence?
Wait a minute.
You don't think I'm not going to go with that piece of evidence versus evidence that you just indicated has flip-flopped 5 times?
That mask has worked for 2 years?
Correct.
You haven't changed it in 2 years?
No, Bob, these series of masks.
Okay, so you have several.
Were made from companies,
I just wanted to make sure
like
that
those 5 flip-flop masks that you were talking about.
All right, I wanted to make sure you had more than one. Okay.
Sadly, Bob, I've got 100. Sadly.
Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Well, we had last night a Community Board 11 full board meeting. And Mr. Producer, do we have the picture of Mayor Adams? Well, everybody is now taking credit.
I don't think you're going to get it.
Everybody is now taking credit for the stoppage of the White Plains Road homeless men's shelter. All right. If we had our picture up that I sent to our producer this morning, it's a picture of Mayor Adams at Jacoby Hospital on January 29th. All right. Before that, the chairman of Community Board 11 told me that he has sent 3 attempts. He made 3 attempts to contact Mayor Adams about the shelter without any response. And last night, as well as in the February 3rd meeting, he admitted that they were waiting for the new mayor to come in, Mayor Adams, because this shelter was proposed at the beginning of October by Mayor de Blasio. And since it was de Blasio's proposal, de Blasio was not going to change it. Well, what happened at this January 29th press conference was, being a reporter, I was able to ask Mayor Adams a question about this, about the 540 single adult homeless men coming into Community Board 11 that Mayor de Blasio proposed. All right. And I went on for about 2 or 3 minutes. And the answer Mayor Adams said was, boy, that's the longest question I ever got. And Anthony will verify that. And that he said, I will check into this with DHS. I am not taking credit for getting rid of that shelter. I did not mention White Plains Road, but I brought him onto the subject of the unfair placement of 540 single homeless men into Community Board 11 by his predecessor. And working with Borough President Vanessa Gibson, who I give a lot of credit to, because since the beginning of the year, he and Borough President Gibson have been working together in a way that is much better than former Borough President Diaz and former Mayor de Blasio were working, because Mayor de Blasio, when he was in this administration, just kept dumping on the Bronx. And Mayor Adams has said, I am not going to dump on the Bronx. And he has proven it now by taking the shelter offline. Okay, and that's what I'm going to say. All right, congratulations to everybody who did everything, including anyone who gave out flyers or whatever to come to a meeting. The shelter on White Plains Road is dead for now. All right, that's my piece. Anthony, you want to say anything?
Congratulations to all of the residents, businesses, community activists, legislative leaders, and community board members of Community District 11. I think.
Don't forget the task force.
Well, everyone, even people that wrote letters to the editor. It takes a family village, as they always say. And I do know that that village, the village that you live in, is being, in my opinion, seriously threatened with quality of life issues, which of course will be another subject we'll talk about in a little while. So I know that 3 have been proposed. It was so happy to hear that 1 for now is officially gone. I wish everyone luck with the other 2.
As chairman of the community organized task force, which began on February 14th, we found out that the admittance to DHS from our local hospitals, Jacoby, Bronx Psychiatric, Montefiore, Einstein, and 1 or 2 others, okay, that all the application states is the doctor's name, the patient's name, and the name of the hospital. Then the address of the hospital is given, all right, which is in Community Board 11. So we on the task force and the community board want to know how many homeless people have come into the community from the hospitals. We want that number taken out because those people came in from Manhattan, Brooklyn. As Mayor de Blasio said, I'll be sending people up from Brooklyn, Queens, or whatever. All right, we want these people taken out of the responsibility for our Community Board 11. We also want to know if we need the second shelter on Popham Street, if it can be changed from a single men's shelter to a family shelter, if it's necessary. We believe that once we get the true numbers from DHS, we will only need probably 1 shelter or maybe 1.5 shelters. All right. We will not need, there is no way that Community Board 11, a community like those in Queens, Brooklyn, who have only a responsibility of 200 homeless people. All right. The Community Board 11 is basically a homeowner's place. And these homes are not vacant. All right. So they are homeowners who have been here like Anthony for 40 years. All right. So there is really, we can't justify having 811 homeless people. And I want to see how DHS, Department of Homeless Service, can say we have 811 homeless people after admitting that, yeah, some people come from Jacoby and the other hospitals. So we want to know the true
World
number.
Inkers Monthly magazine is a fine source for your literary interests. It's an all-source magazine with poetry, prose, and essays and articles, as well as interviews. It's all full-color art and photography from a variety of voices and artists. You will find this magazine entertaining. This is an all-purpose readership, and we are looking for new voices. This sleek, full-color edition of World Inkers Monthly magazine will be something pleasant for your eyes as well as for your mind. And we're looking for authors for one book promotion in the magazine. If you're a business, we want to promote your business. You may submit your book reviews, your academic or non-academic articles on the humanities and the arts, as well as your literary writing and creative output to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. World Inkers Monthly magazine does not spare any ink. Keep inking for World Inkers Monthly magazine.
I want to thank my producer for putting that commercial in to stop me because I would still be going on. And let's introduce Anthony.
Bob, wait 1 minute, Bob. Just wait a moment, if I might.
Go ahead.
Just to end that conversation. You know, I want to share with you and our audience, especially the people that live in that affected district. You know, what you're saying is very important, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. You know, from someone like myself that has had to have dealt with that puzzle for the last 20 years in the other part of the new 36 state senate district, you know, I hope your board 11, and the neighboring boards are getting ready to figure out ways and plans and strategies to look at the other problems that are affecting the quality of life there in relationship to that. So you got housing zoning issues that I'm going to presume you're going to have to deal with soon. You already have construction issues, as I know your board knows, that landlords are coming in there, you know, left and right. And then, of course, the ultimate question, which I don't think anybody can answer but the families, is that as the people get older, like you say, right, we got 40 years older, well, the natural instinct is to want to give the property to the children. But as we found here on the west side of the Bronx in the last 20 years, well, the kids didn't want it. Yes, so now you got the landlords coming by with $1 billion check, and I'm 40 years older. You know, so there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle. You want a very good, you know, fight. But that was just one piece.
Anthony, let me stop you here, Anthony. All right, you're right on that. But what's happening here, though, is there is not enough property for the landlords to buy, for these developers to buy. The houses are built on small lots, and we're going to end it there.
Bob, as I said to you before, and I'll be glad to share it with our future guests. All you got to do is come to Bedford Park, and you will find out that developers can take a peephole and turn it into an 8-story building.
Right. Anthony, let us introduce our guest, Miss Lisa.
Hi, guys.
How do I spell it? How do I say it? Hofflick?
Hofflick.
Okay. And you can have as much time as you want. I said 1 to 3 minutes for an introduction. So tell us all about yourself.
Okay. So, well, first of all, Anthony and Robert, thank you for having me on today. This is I got to say, I enjoy your show, and I think that today is going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on today. So my name is Lisa Hofflick, and I'm a candidate for the New York State Senate District 36. Want to introduce myself to you all as a community organizer, a dedicated public servant, and a mom. I'm a mom of 5, which is kind of crazy into itself, but I'm also a proud progressive Democrat. I was formerly a regional director and special advisor for on Capitol Hill and also in the Hudson Valley for Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Prior to that, I was a legislative advisor for Assembly members Sandy Galiff and Amy Paulin. My claim to fame at the time in the New York State Assembly when I served was that I was the only staffer in the assembly that worked for more than one member at a time, which was a big deal. And also I'm a social justice advocate because before I even entered government, I built and led coalitions with hundreds of groups and thousands of women statewide, where we went and we advocated for social justice change, for pay equity, gender equality, protections for domestic violence victims and human trafficking victims, and children's health and education. So I come to this race with a long and proven track record of trying to create change and working for New Yorkers and for all Americans. I want to tell you a little bit about myself, about my background also. I'm also a Vietnamese refugee. So Anthony, thank you for your service in the military. It's great. My hat off to you. I came here when I was 3 years old. My family and I, we left Vietnam on the day of the fall of Saigon. And my father was a first lieutenant in the South Vietnamese Air Force. We were one of those families who was pressed up against the gate at the Saigon Naval Yard, waiting for it to open. Our boat was, managed to get onto a boat, and our boat was rescued by the 7th Fleet, the U.S. 7th Fleet. We were taken to Subic Bay in the Philippines before being transferred to Wake Island and then Camp Pendleton. And from there, we were eventually sponsored by a small little church in Williston, North Dakota, because that was the only place that would take my family and I. And we spent 5 years there before moving on to Billings, Montana, because life got really, really hard for us there. And this is one of the reasons why when you were talking about Ukraine earlier, that's been watching everything in the news has been extremely triggering for me. What was going on with Afghanistan before was extremely triggering because I know life as a refugee. I was a child refugee. So I understand what a lot of these families are going through right now. So one of the reasons why I'm running for state senate right now, actually, the main reason why I'm running for state senate right now is for the hardworking individuals and families in this district. I'm a 22-year resident of this district. My husband and I, we moved to the northern part of the district in 2001. He is a small business owner. He is a dentist who operates his dental practice out of one side of our house. We have 5 kids who have been going to school in the Bronx for the past 22 years. We go to synagogue in Riverdale, and the kids go to summer camp in the Bronx. So the Bronx, we have very, very deep connection to this area because of the fact that we've been here for 22 years. This district is our home. One of the reasons why I'm running for office right now is because I believe that right now, New York can do better. We've really, really suffered, or we've had a lot of tough choices that we've had to make in the last couple of years. And one of the things that I really want to speak to is how working families, working individuals, we can thrive right now. Because you guys said it before. A lot of people are just making do, getting by. How do we thrive? The last couple of years during the pandemic, it really showed a lot of vulnerabilities that we have as New Yorkers in terms of how we can approach our health outcomes and also our economic outcomes. For 4 months during the pandemic, my husband didn't work. The only way that we were able to support our family of 7 was on my government income. And that was not a lot. And that was really, really hard. So right now I'm listening to working families and individuals where just this morning in the Bronx Times, I believe, there is an article about how 17 out of the 25 zip codes in the Bronx have families who are delinquent on their mortgage. For me, during the pandemic, I had to go and contact my mortgage company and say, hey, listen, can we do a deferral on this? Because we couldn't afford to pay our mortgage ourselves because we were only subsisting on one income. You know, these are things that we have to really think about, and some of the things that keep us up at night. So for me, running for this New York State Senate office is really for the families and drilling it down to, listen, what can we do right now to make sure that New York individuals and families, we thrive. We don't just get by.
Okay, I want to thank you for the introduction. I believe, Anthony, you have a question or two for our candidate.
Can I call you Lisa?
What was that?
Can I call you Lisa?
You can call me anything you want, and Lisa is great, Anthony.
Anthony, I'm just going to break in here. The first time I met Lisa, and you know me, I don't like political candidates, really. All right, I give them a hard time. But she was terrific the first time we met. Okay, so take it from there, Anthony.
Lisa, I appreciate you allowing me to call you by your first name, and of course, you can do it with me as well. I have a series of questions I'm going to ask you, not all in rapid fire, of course, but I want you to know that some of these questions I'm going to ask you come from an area of both envy in regards to more your husband, just like your husband. I also have a home-based practice. Now I'm celebrating my 25th year. We'll talk about that in regards to a tax credit question I have. But my general concern, and I want you to know this as I ask these questions, is that if you're familiar with the Bedford Park, Norwood side of the 36th State Senate District, then you'll know, and I say this now as a resident, who of course represents a political club, then you'll know that that side from the state Senate side has not been the same for over the last 20 years. It was originally the 34th, and then it turned into the 33rd, and then it went back into something else, and now it is the 36th. And I'm going to guess that in your neck of the woods, it was probably now the same thing, right? Because prior to redistricting, we weren't in the same district, right?
We were
So to a certain extent, you're looked at to us as a stranger. Not, I don't mean that in any bad terms. I just mean that in the sense of you don't know Bedford Park, Norwood, and we don't know you. We hope to know you, but the questions I'm going to ask you are in that frame of mind.
Okay, so Anthony, good. So Norwood is now the way that they redistricted everything. Norwood, parts of Norwood are a little bit cut out of the district. All right, of the new district. The thing is, though, so where I've lived in 2000 since 2001 has always been a part of this district. All right, where for me, county lines don't really mean much because when you live in my part of Mount Vernon and in Mount Vernon itself, we travel everywhere for everything. So I want people to know I am not a stranger. I'm not an outsider because
I don't mean it that way. And maybe I should say it. Maybe I should have said it the other way around. That the 36th State Senate District has always reached your neck of the woods, but now it's connected to our neck of the woods, which was the 34th, the 33rd, and then turned into the 36th via Jamal Bailey, and now it's so maybe I should have said it that way.
Yeah. So no, I understand that. So one of my biggest heroes in the world is Senator Ruth Hassel Thompson. She is a personal friend of mine. Okay, she's a family friend also, and she also lived in the northern part of her district.
Right, she was our state senator.
Right, but she represented a major part of the Bronx, and where I look at really, really strong leaders who transcend lines, who understand what the needs of the districts are, where I look at them as my role models and my teachers. But I'm going to give you an example here. Okay, as Kirsten Gillibrand's regional director, I had to go and be in charge of 8 counties all the way up to Hudson Valley. Okay, I had Delaware County, I had Orange County, I had Ulster and Sullivan. I'm not from there, but yet I represented the senator in all of these counties that I was not a part of, that I not lived in, and I represented the constituents very, very well, where I made it my mission to go out there and learn and understand the issues, speak to all the stakeholders, and represent them in a way that made them feel heard and also brought back results to their districts, right? So the thing is, this has been my home for the past 22 years, right? This area of New York has been where, I bring my kids, I go grocery shopping. This is where I go out and I interact with
Can I ask you a question in regards to? Can I ask you a question in regards to your children? It's a two-part question. First of all, what are their names?
Yeah, their names are Jessica, Benjamin, Spike, Buck, and Johnny.
How the age ranges?
So so my eldest is almost 26 and my youngest is 8.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So I have a child in every single stage of life.
Okay.
So,
So then why did you choose Riverdale? Was it and then a synagogue? Was it because of a religious reason?
yeah, you know what? Because we knew that we wanted a religious first education for our children. And we first went to SAR Academy, and then for our elder 2, and then we switched over to Kinneret Day School, also in Riverdale, for the rest of our kids. So I still have a kid at Kinneret Day School. My 5th one goes to public school in Mount Vernon because we can't afford, that private school tuition anymore. But however, we would love to, but we made a very, very concerted decision to give our children a basis in a Jewish education.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You almost sounded like a fan for charter schools. I just want to be sure.
I'm not necessarily a fan. No, listen, I think that for that public schools need to be adequately funded, and to have that state investment in there.
Do you think that the state, besides increase of funding, needs to be in control as opposed to the mayor?
No, well, I think that it would be very helpful, and I actually do support the governor's proposal to increase mayoral control in New York City schools, because at this point it would be very, very helpful to actually hold someone accountable. We need to hold someone accountable to the schools, and if it can be held to if New York City can be held accountable to the outcomes of New York City schools, then that would be a good thing, right? Right now we can't wait for decision making or accountability to be held at other levels right now.
Walking with trans. Tell me about that.
So that's actually something near and dear to my heart, because my eldest child is transgender. And so I read an article in the New York Times that was called trans, poor, and dressed for arrest. And I started thinking about my daughter going out and hanging out with her friends and possibly being targeted for the way that they look. And so I went to my employer at the time, Assemblywoman Amy Paul, and I said, "Hey, listen, is this something that we can possibly do? Because this loitering for prostitution law disproportionately affects trans women of color." And I said, "This is, as we are talking about some sort of reform here, this is something that we really need to think about." So that was actually a love letter to my daughter. And all the women like her who were out there and were fearful of being targeted and approached just because of the way they look. So I wrote the bill, and unfortunately I left the assembly before it was passed, but that was a love letter to my daughter and all of the children like her.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Pelham Dems, I understand, has endorsed you, your candidacy. Who is Pelham Dems?
Pelham Dems represents Pelham and Pelham Manor in Westchester. And they are a Democratic group that recognizes that I am the best candidate because of my qualifications at the state and federal levels. And Anthony, I want to tell you about my state and federal experience also, because I want people to understand what I can bring to the table too. So as Kirsten Gillibrand's regional director and special advisor, I advised her and oversaw policies and economic development and concerns for a very, very large area of the state. But I'm also very familiar on policies and how to bring state and federal funds to whichever district I can represent. Where I like to say that number one, what you should know about me is that I'm the first person to say, I don't know what I don't know. So if I ask a question, it's because I want to learn, right? I'll also say that my knowledge is about a mile wide and about like an inch deep, right? Because you have to be a generalist on a lot of things. But the thing is, I'm a generalist where I understand and worked on issues from everything from agriculture to environmental to economic development to social justice issues to criminal justice issues and foreign policy. In the state level, the same thing. So this is what I can bring to the seat where right now, I believe that I am the only candidate in the race who can hit the ground running from day one and know how to not only govern, legislate, but also run these offices so that all of our constituent concerns are addressed. Because running this very massive office, I had to deal with constituent concerns from local residents and also municipal officials, county executives, and I had to be that liaison with the state and federal agencies. So this is what I can bring to this position and to this office.
Real
quick,
quick,
Anthony, let me break in, Anthony. Okay, I want to get it back into the issue of charter schools. All right, I was one of the most involved parents. I was PA president of 141 in Riverdale. I was president of the district's president's council with 45,000 students, and I was also on the Chancellor Parent Advisory Council. And with the previous Chancellor, Carenza, I met him at a charter school, which he was looking at, and he was amazed at how good this charter school was, because this charter school was way advanced than the public schools. I said to him, how come this charter school is much better than the public schools in the area? And I said, how come Bronx public schools in general are performing at a 67% level when other schools in the other 4 boroughs are performing at 82% or better? Okay, that was my question. He couldn't give me an answer. I'm new here. I'll have to get back to you. And I said to him, that's an answer I heard 18 years ago when I went on to the Chancellor's Parent Advisory Council from Joel Klein. So I was a strict advocate of public schools. I am now saying that charter schools have a place with public schools because the Bronx public schools cannot do the job. Okay, that's one. Senator Biaggi. All right, now I'm going to quote the head of the Morris Park Community Association. He said that Senator Biaggi, when she was campaigning, came here and went on her grandfather's name and hasn't been back since then. Okay. Are you going to be visiting the east side of the district now? The southern part of the district has been taken away. It only goes down to Parkchester now. Are you going to be visiting all parts of the district? Or like Senator Biaggi did, she moved her headquarters from Waters Place over to Riverdale, and she basically only wanted to take care of Riverdale. And once in a while, she came to visit the other sides. She came to visit during the turkey drive. No, actually, she didn't. She came a book bag drive where she brought 10 book bags to a community organization. But that was it. She was not outside of Riverdale.
Okay, so you have my word on this also. Okay, well, first of all, if anyone wants to walk with me, I'll be in Throgsneck tomorrow, also, and then I'll be walking in Pelham Parkway soon. Probably the day after. So if anyone wants to walk with me, please come with me. So this is one of the things that I've really been thinking about too. This is a big district, and I would first love to find money in the office budget to have not one but 2 offices, one on the east side of the Bronx and one on the west side, because I know that the Bronx, we do not have a horizontal transportation route. it's going to be really, really difficult for people from the northwest side of the Bronx to go over to the east side of the Bronx to go and get constituent services, and vice versa. One of the other things I would love to do is to create a mobile office van, where a constituent services van, where we go to different areas of the district to make sure that people are being heard and seen. And I will tell you something here, that where I I am such a staunch believer in constituent services, where I'm running Kirsten's 8-county office, and I was the only person really to put my own cell number on my signature line, so everyone knew how to get a hold of me, right? Where I will make myself accessible to everyone. Where if you want to go and talk with me, then please do, because for me, this is how I view constituent services. No one ever calls a government office just to say hi. They call because no, they don't. They know. I mean, and this is what I would tell people, and this is what I would tell any of my interns that I hired. I said, listen, if someone calls or emails the office, it's because because that matter is really important to them, that they have something that needs to be fixed, right? And if
Lisa, prove it. We got 2 minutes. Put out your contact info right now.
I will do it. But I will say right now, if someone calls me and says, I've got an important issue, if it's important to you, it's important to me. And that's what it is. So I promise everyone, and you know what, we have plenty of empty promises, that if anyone ever has anything that they want to speak with me personally about, I will reach out to you, and I will help you with it, because this is why we try to represent people in government. We're not doing it for ourselves. We're doing it for everyone else. And that's something that I promise that I will do. Because
how can anybody that wants to help you with the campaign contact you? Through email, through website, through telephone?
Yes. And you know what? And I'm putting my and she's gonna kill me for this, but I'm putting my campaign manager's email in here, so we can put it out. Did I put it in the private chat? I don't think I put it in the private chat and not the comments. But listen, if we want to go and be representatives in the legislature, let us be the representatives in the legislature. If something is important to you, it's important to us. That's how it should be.
You mentioned, or I mentioned Pelham Dems, and they endorsed you. Of course, there are now other political clubs in the area, our club being one of them. But have you reached out to other political clubs in the area so you can, talk about yourself and your concerns and your campaign?
We are in the process of reaching out to everyone, Anthony. Right now, we are putting together that list and reaching out to folks. So, Anthony, if you want to send me your information, also, I will make sure that my team reaches out to you, because I want the support of everyone, because I want people to know that I'm here to work for you. I'm not here to work for me or for corporations or for anyone except for the people of the district. This is my home. Let me ask you one last question based on that. Our time is a little short, but I think we can sneak it in. Your husband, you mentioned, has his own practice. I think that's wonderful. In my element, we call that small business. What are your feelings on small business credits or tax reduction? We need to do everything that we can in order to try to promote small businesses. And that's one of the things that I've been doing since my time in government, working with Chambers of Commerce and the National Federation of Independent Businesses to make sure that small businesses are able to stay open, and because they are major employers in our communities, and we need to support them.
All right, Anthony, I want to thank Ms. Hofflick for coming on. Hopefully we can have her again. And we will have Christian Amato coming on in the future. And maybe Ms. Camilo will decide to come on our show too. And the fourth candidate is James Grisanti, but he also runs in the Republican line. So he won't probably be a factor in this race. But it'll be a nice three-person race between Ms. Hofflick, Mr. Amato and Miss Camilo. And I think right now it's almost anybody's game. And good luck to you, Miss Hofflick. Anthony, any final words? Oh, we want to talk about Anthony's show. You had a terrific show last week, Anthony. When are you going to bring Rich Mancuso back onto Financial Focus? Because we want to hear what his predictions for WrestleMania are.
We want to hear everybody's. So real quickly, we're going to have him on the weekend, the Friday at 5 before the WrestleMania weekend. And if the audience wants to participate, you're welcome to participate as well. We'll be talking Wall Street, wrestling, and WrestleMania prediction.
Are you curious about financial literacy? Then take a look at Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO's new program on Parrot TV. It's called Financial Focus University. This is an excellent program to learn about questions related to your own finances post-COVID, if how you can manage your money, how you can work with your tax situation. And this is an excellent and informative discussion of financial literacy. With Professor Anthony RIVIECCIO, your financial problems will be solved at Parrot TV with Financial Focus University.